Hi there. We are the Inspired Draikes from Avagasso Coaching. I'm Sarah, and this is João. Welcome to our show. We are going to every week be answering one question from you. If you want to have us answer your question, make sure to add a comment to our show below. And if you would like to participate in a live chat with João and I, you can show up at 12 o'clock noon Amsterdam time, and it will be live so we can all chat together. If you would like to see us again, please subscribe. You will get a notification of our next show, and please like our video to show us your support. We're really looking forward to this. Should we get started, João?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So we got a question this week from Nienke Gijsen. She's an engineering manager from Bol.com. Thank you so much for your question. How do you align the goals clearly for everyone in an autonomous team? I like that one. What about you, João?
Yeah, I like it a lot, Sarah. And I would say that this is a very hot topic also, because most of the companies, if not all, are dealing with this, and it comes with all sorts of challenges, and we can tackle it in multiple ways. And I hope we can talk about most of them today.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. And actually, what comes to mind is I think I quite addressed this when I was your engineering manager in the past.
You did?
Why don't you share your experience of how it was to be part of an autonomous team? Maybe how did you know you were part of an autonomous team? And then after that, how did you align your goals with other people in the team? Like, how did that work?
The first thing that comes to my mind is empowerment. I also came from a background where decisions were made by all the bosses. It was very top down. Whatever we needed to do, we would need to double check or ask for permissions or ask for multiple reviews. And we were not empowered enough to do it. As simple as that. We had like our department goals, let's say, and we just did whatever we could to reach them. And of course, the deadlines were always late and we needed to work extra, but the focus was always about the company goals to make it. And those were yearly also. So imagine you hit November, December, and you are far from reaching that goal. It creates actually a lot of pressure to all the teams. And this is just not healthy.
And did you feel like you had the space to develop personally in such an environment?
Not at all. If I did something that really contributed to reaching that deadline, then congrats to me. Perhaps I would get a promotion. If not, then I don't know. It depends on how close you were to your manager, if you were seen somehow. But again, the focus was on the company itself and not on you. Very difficult.
And so how was it different to be in a team that you felt was autonomous? What was the feeling like and what did it look like?
It was awesome, really. Of course, it starts with the company culture. And for example, we are working with IT. So simple things as after you create your application, how you deploy it, how you want to do it, which tech stack you want to do it. Each innovation team was empowered enough, hence autonomous enough, to make these decisions. I think it all starts with having a safe environment. So if you have psychological safety, then everyone feels at ease to at first talk about it and later on making decisions. Because the question is related with goals. You need to have good goals, good stretching goals. And now I'm talking not only about personal ones, but also about your company, your product, your domain. And if you can mix both of them, then it's the best scenario that you can get. And you enabled us to create these stretching goals while working on these safe environments. And I think we worked together a lot. I acted as a Scrum Master to apply these thoughts within the team. And once we had those goals, we just sync them within the team and also within the product. So I could help others Perhaps we have the same goals. Why not work together towards them? I have my values. The others have their values. We have our own superpowers. How we combine them to achieve a great result.
And how did you make sure that your goals were mapped to company goals, that you were creating real organizational impact? What happened there? Did I need to do anything, or were you really autonomous? Were you able to discover this as a team on your own?
A great way was to create transparent OKRs. And we also worked within circles. So how to best achieve those OKRs? What do we need? We had some topics related to the cloud, for example, or related with code quality or even agile. Who are the people that have goals that are related with these OKRs? Who is willing to help with these circles? And these circles, they were also autonomous. They were enabled, empowered to make decisions.
Yes, I really tried to enable that. And I remember when I first joined Bull.com, I was told that I should attend your stand ups, that I should attend your refinements, your retrospectives. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
And I almost didn't attend any of these sessions, actually. One of the things that I said is that I would not be an active member in your stand ups, in your retros, in your refinements, because these are your teams. And I empowered you to have autonomous teams and to be able to move forward in your way, as long as I was achieving the results that I needed as a manager. I didn't, let's say, care how you got there. But of course, I did always offer myself as a fly on the wall. As a coach, I would sometimes attend. I remember one meeting in particular. It was when you were still part of Team 4G. I attended one of your, I think it was a refinement session, or was it a retro?
Refinement session.
It was a refinement session. And your product owner asked me for all of my tips, like what I discovered. And I refused to share. And it wasn't that I already knew the answer, because it's very easy for a agile coach to come in, and especially if you've been an engineer for 20 plus years as I have, and to see the problems in the room, especially when you are from the outside and you come in and you can see the lack of synergies or the things that are not working or what's going wrong. And the thing is, you can't go in and just change everything all at once. It doesn't work like that. If you try to implement 1,000 changes in one moment, people are going to be stressed. They're not going to feel like it's their change. They're definitely not going to feel as if they're in part of an autonomous team. So instead, I would maybe give one tip, and then I would allow you guys to go in a direction and solve it yourself. Figure out the how. How are you going to solve this problem? And very often when a team does that, they discover that a lot of the other problems start to shift and change. And then they have a new picture, a new moment in which they can themselves discover what maybe can be improved, because they learn how to double loop learn. They learn how to improve the process. And that's when you know you're part of an autonomous team, is when the manager is not telling you how to do it. And I would give you guys the same kind of autonomy when it came to your personal goals. I helped guide you down a path for you to discover what your worthy goals were. Was your goal stimulating? Was your goal significant? Could it create impact within the organization? Beyond yourself? Was your goal stretching enough that you grow with your goal? And then once you have been given the ability to come up with your own goals, I wanted you all to share them with each other so that you could have this transparency, that you knew what everyone was working towards. And you already knew how to find the synergies all on your own. You guys did all of that on your own. So what I gave to you as a manager were things like, okay, We need to decrease the costs of the cloud. We need to improve the code quality so that there are less downs in the system, less outages. We need to make sure that during the season, everything is running smoothly. And then you guys were able to implement circles to tackle all of those problems. And like you said, you had the right people in each of those circles, in each of those rooms, because you were passionate. You had the right superpowers, the abilities to handle it, and you had the autonomy to make decisions and how to progress towards those goals on the outside, the OKRs you were reaching towards. And you knew each other's personal development goals. So you would support each other in helping the team improve goals that were going towards, let's say, company impact, but also improving yourselves along the way. And you guys did that all on your own. I wasn't in the room. I was only in the checkup sessions.
And I can clearly remember, how did we call it? It was whispering sessions, Sarah?
Yeah, whispering sessions. Why don't you share about the whispering sessions?
Yeah, it was a very different exercise, but also very powerful. At that point, we already knew our goals, and we had a session to inspect each other's goals.
And also your values and your declaration of impact, right?
Yep. We spent some minutes, I think, was it even an hour? Really just reading up on everything about everyone, already minding what we think about it, how can we help each other, this kind of stuff. And then we moved to breakout rooms. Each group had, I think, 3 people.
Yes.
It was a remote session, but of course you can also do it in person. This is really easy. And imagine that I'm in a room with 2 other colleagues. We would take turns talking about each other's goals. So if the other 2 colleagues would inspect and talk about my goals, I would turn off my camera, turn off my microphone, so I would disappear. They would be gossiping about my presentation, about my goals, about my values, what would be my difficulties perhaps. And they would just talk about it. I wouldn't interfere. And that was pretty insightful because you can hear lots of valuable stuff from my colleagues' perspectives. And I would just note them down. After 2 minutes or 3, of course, we were timing everything. Then I would turn on my camera, thank them for the feedback.
Oh, so you would thank and you would share with them the insights that you would get and the things from it that you would take. And what's also very important about saying thank you after the session is maybe there are some things that they said that you don't agree with, or some things which, if you would not have turned off your camera and you wouldn't have turned off your microphone, you would have interrupted them and said, no, that won't work. But because you were not allowed to do that, you allowed them to freely talk and share. And in there is some gold you could take away, even if you didn't maybe agree with 100% of the conversation.
Indeed.
Yeah. And you all did that with each other. Fun. Yeah. So you already start out at the beginning of the year knowing each other's values, knowing each other's declaration of impact, what impact that everyone wants to make in the team. What is their personal vision for themselves? What is their mission? What do they want to achieve in this job? What motivates them? What gives them energy? You knew this from every single colleague that you worked with in the team. And you also knew what their worthy goals were going to be. And you helped stretch them slightly and also give them ideas and how they could be more impactful with those goals within the team scope, right?
Indeed. And of course, as the time passes, some opportunities are created, some things that we want to achieve. And it is much easier this way to be a matchmaker, connecting people with opportunities, right?
Yeah. That's pretty much how I do it as an engineering manager. I try to create psychological safety, making sure that everyone is heard, seen, and respected. By doing that, I give the time to every team member to learn what their own values are and to reflect on what impact they want to make in the team and in the company, having their own vision for themselves, their own personal mission, having an awareness of what gives them energy, and then bringing them to worthy goals that are stimulating, significant, and stretching. After that, everyone learns to also honor and respect everyone else in the team because they become self-aware of their own values. They start to understand that everyone has different values, and they learn skills to have these brave conversations using their values and being able to ask what they really need. After that, you create transparency. You create these environments so that the team is able to consult each other and share with each other their values and their worthy goals, and to find synergies together. How are they going to help each other so that everyone in the team can achieve? I've worked in teams before that didn't share their personal goals with each other. And what was quite horrible about that is you would maybe have a goal and the rest of the team didn't realize that you had this goal. And they would feel like you were working against the team or not really helping the team when you were actually really trying to get your goal, because if you don't achieve your goal, then you don't get your raise. And there's this like team against person thing going on. When you create this safety first and everyone is aware of everyone else, you also give them the ability to find these synergies and to autonomously create circles which are working together to achieve company OKRs and improve. Naturally, things sync. And in the end, people grow. They are stimulated because they're working on things that excite them, and they are making impact in the organization. It's pretty amazing to watch this happen, this
It is.
transformation.
And it goes a long way because once you have done it, at least once, you'll know how it feels, you'll know how you grow, and things start to happen naturally. So people start having this way of working in the mindset. And this is pretty great to see. Great to see that you are growing, that your colleagues are growing, and therefore the company is also.
Yeah. And the team becomes empowered, autonomous. And remember how you guys solved the changing of your teams to become more value-led versus OPEX-led? You guys solved that yourself. I dropped the seed of change, definitely. And I spurred the drive that something had to change to improve value. But the entire innovation team, which was made up of several teams, was able to get to the new solution all on your own. Remember that?
And it was pretty fun to do. We created this fun talk show to interview people, check different points of view. And after some weeks, we had our consensus final decision, and it worked pretty great, I must say.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the show, I talked about personal goals versus company goals, and OKRs play a big role here.
Yeah.
How was it for you as a manager at that time to define those OKRs and think of a way to introduce it to the team, also linking the personal goals process within it, achieving the great result that we saw?
Oh my goodness. Whenever you're introducing something new to a team, there's always this fear from past experience. And definitely when I first introduced this idea of circles to the team, there was this kind of like, what is she doing here? This is scary. Is this going to give us more work? There was a slight negative energy in the first time I brought it up. And I really had to use my words to explain that by giving you this responsibility, handing over the results and saying, hey, you're going to do this, you become more autonomous and you're going to have more power in your role in the end. And that is going to be good for you. And because you have been working with me already for a couple of years, you did trust me by that point that maybe this thing that she's suggesting is going to work. And you tried it. And what I love it from the manager perspective I actually don't believe the manager should make the OKRs. The manager should state what is expected. What's the result? What do I need? I need you to cut the costs of the cloud. That's coming from me. Most likely, it's not even coming from me. It's coming from my management or the board. From somewhere in the organization, we need to save money. By presenting this to the team and allowing you to come up with the ways that you want to achieve this, which efforts you're going to do, what OKRs you're going to create, and how you're going to measure those results with key results, you are empowered to do it in a more creative way, and it feels like you own it, and you are more likely to achieve it than if I would just tell you this is what you have to do. I personally had, in my lifetime as an engineer, I had been handed OKRs very often from managers. And the one thing that I know is when something is handed to you and you don't have the autonomy to influence how it's done or how you're going to achieve something, or it's not even clear why you need to achieve something, you are likely disconnected from it. And it isn't a first priority in your work. You instead focus on something that's more important to you. How was the experience for you? Do you remember this?
I would say that transparency is the key, Sarah. And by creating this transparency, as you mentioned, telling us why we want to do this, like what and why, and leave the how to the circles, to the teams, it was perfect. We felt
Yeah.
empowered. So we felt connected. We wanted to do that. And of course, since we are talking about this mix between company goals and personal goals, the results that you achieve there also contributes to the appraisal talks for you to get a higher salary or a higher position later on.
You have something to
Everything,
share with me, something to be proud of.
exactly. And the company also notice it. If we reflect also on the internal research about the results, the happiness, we get one of the highest, if not the highest score within Bo.com in many topics.
Yeah, I remember being very proud of that. We were the only full green in fintech in that time. But yeah, it's pretty amazing the power that comes from allowing people to think and be creative and trusting that they care. And maybe if you don't honor people's values and you don't trust your reports, then maybe they actually don't care. So it's hard to trust for them to care. It goes both ways. So it starts with the manager, I think, trusting you and believing in you and knowing that you are probably pretty dang smart if you have that job. And maybe what I would have given you wouldn't have motivated you, but trusting that you know what motivates you and you're able to use your skill set in the best way possible to bring results up. And what's also great on the manager perspective, it's this less work for me. I don't have to micromanage you. All I have to do is once a month meet with the circle lead. I didn't even have to meet with everyone and ask, how are things going? And you would share with me the results and you would share with me your challenges and maybe ask for a bit of coaching. But I didn't need to be in all of those meetings and telling you what to do. And this brings me to the last part, because we were already talking about our worthy goals and sharing it with everyone and being transparent. At the end of the year, I had everyone share their results. And not results is in only successes. I want to know your journeys and including your failure journeys, including those goals that you tried to reach and maybe didn't quite get, because that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in your growth. And you would all present to the whole team your growth journey for the year. And also, you would share your appreciation of other team members during those journeys. And that was so lovely to watch every year. I really enjoy that.
Yeah. And it creates a cycle, right? Because then you have the final result, and we can apply also a double loop learning, linking back to the psychological safety that we first mentioned. So if you keep doing this, things will only improve.
And again, from the manager's perspective, what a wonderful thing to have from one presentation, knowing the work that everyone in the team contributed towards. And you hear all of the appreciations. And you know that nobody's going to lie in that environment because you have the whole team there observing everyone else in the team. You have concrete examples if you need to, let's say, submit your request for pay raises or for people getting promoted. If you need in your organization to submit it to your managers to give a reason as to why this person deserves this growth, you have all of the data there. It was made by the engineers. So it makes it also easier for the manager to represent you in, I think, a more fair way. Very often, I had managers appraising me in my journey that never saw my work. They were never there to see how I really did things. Maybe they had one discussion with one person or a discussion with another one and maybe if they asked the wrong person, they would get a wrong representation because maybe this person just doesn't like to work with me or they just happen not to like my personality. It does not mean that I was not a good team player with the rest. And what a great gift to have from the team as a manager, knowing that they're talking transparently with each other about their own journeys and sharing appreciation of each other.
Exactly.
It's all there.
Yeah. I'm really impressed. This question led us to talk about many things.
Oh my goodness. I feel like we went on a few tangents. I don't know if we had the smooth road through the answer. I do know it's a Friday evening, and last time we recorded on a Saturday morning, which was a lot easier for me. I'm a bit tired at the end of the week, being a bit more introverted. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Yeah. If you have more questions relating to anything that we talked about today, or maybe something we talked about spurred another question you'd like us to discuss next week, that you share it in the chat below, that would be awesome.
I really like what we talked about. I think we answered this question.
Yeah, the question was from Nienke Gijsen, right? How do you
Yes.
align the goals clearly for everybody in an autonomous team? I think we covered it, although I think we covered quite a few other topics too. A tired mind.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And we touched like that it starts with creating a psychological safe environment. We mentioned about how to link company goals and personal goals, techniques on how to do it, some exercises, and how to define OKRs. How was my experience as a report and your experience as a manager? And I really hope that it helps you.
Yeah, me too. And if you have another great question for us to address next week, we would love that. Thank you for giving us your time. Make sure to subscribe to our channel if you'd like to hear more from us. Hopefully, we're a little bit more awake next time. And please push on like if you liked what we did today. So thank you again and see you next week. Oops, my microphone. See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.